Hi, y'all.
Hello.
Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Monday. And there's Tiny Kitty. Now, did you catch the morning show this morning?
No, because oh God, I was working so hard. That's why I have not been in a stream yet today.
Well, Dee Dee made a promise on your behalf of a fat kitty appearance. So,
Where is Fat Kitty?
and see, I was skeptical. I'm like,
I think he's
he has a
upstairs
whole
asleep
hour.
on the bed, but look at Tiny Kitty looking at the fish. She loves the fish. Oh, so fun.
Fat Kitty has 1 hour to wake up and make his way over
He's not
here.
gonna wake up. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna sleep on the bed all day. So he's upstairs. And he won't move. No pet moves less. That's why he's fat. He doesn't really overeat. He just under moves. That is not the kitty that was promised. Look, people, you can't be. I never promised Fat Kitty.
Only active kitty can be guaranteed.
That's right, Tanya Kitty.
Yeah.
She's the neediest kitty. She's the neediest pet. She's very demanding.
Sounds like she needs a fish.
She would love a fish.
My cat's obsessed with the plecos. Anytime the long fin plecos get to the front of the glass, she's mesmerized. That and corridoras for some reason.
Yeah. Fat Kitty does like the fish too, but he's tired. I mean, he's worked so hard today.
Yeah. It's a lot of napping. It's exhausting.
He's the laziest pet. I mean, my dog is very elderly and she moves more than Fat Kitty. He just never moves.
Well,
He never moves. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come downstairs, but I can't guarantee it. I can't.
yeah, that's stairs. I mean, it's a lot to ask.
So hard for a cat.
No.
Yeah.
Fertilizer.
Fertilizers.
How do you feed your plants?
Yeah. So maybe we'll preface this. You do need to fertilize, but fertilizers are not some like magic bullet for everything. They're not near as important as your water chemistry. So the lower your KH is, the better. Now, however you get it that way, you can use a substrate that will lower your KH. You can use RO water that will lower your KH. You can have low KH out of the tap, but the lower your KH, the better. Adding CO2 is going to do so much more. Getting your light in balance is going to do so much more. But you do need to feed your plants. Fertilizers consist of micronutrients and macronutrients. The macronutrients are NPKs. So nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So when you buy garden fertilizer, it always has 3 numbers on it. Those are NPK. So the first number is N, the middle number is phosphorus, and
Those
the
are some
last
interesting
number
numbers.
is potassium. Pardon?
Those are some interesting numbers you just named.
Yeah.
You just said numbers.
Sorry.
They're letters.
Well, but then they have numbers on them, NPK. So like if you get like a general purpose fertilizer for like vegetables or something, it'll be like 10, 10, 10.
Oh, is that the ratio or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the ratio. I think it's like 10 parts per something. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but it is a ratio. So yes, there are numbers. And even on a fertilizer like this, it has numbers too. So this is Nilec G Thrive. You can buy it. And it has in teeny tiny print the numbers 3.09-1.58-10.4. So that's NPK. So that means this has 3 times as much potassium as it does nitrogen.
That's pretty common though. Like potassium is like one of those things. Because I don't know if do you have potassium in your water?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do not.
I do. I have it. Or do I? No, I have phosphates. I have phosphates in my water. Quite a bit of them.
I got that too. I got 2 ppm or 1-ish ppm.
I have like 5 ppm of it. I have a lot. So, but a lot of people get very hung up on fertilizing. They'll say I'm super lazy about it.
I got hung up on it. Still kind of am.
Sometimes I forget to fertilize. I haven't fertilized this in 2 weeks. I mean, I should fertilize. the thing is you can be very precise and you can measure the chemistry of your water using tests. I mean, I do recommend testing, but you are getting NPs and Ks from other sources besides what you put in. So you get it from your fish food. Look at all these visual aids I have today. Your
Wow,
fish
you got food.
I know this is extreme spirulina flakes. So you get it from food, you get it from waste that your fishes produce. So your bio load makes a big difference. Um, the way you feed makes a difference. The particular food makes a difference, and all of that contributes. And your plant load makes a difference. So I have plants in the tank, and I also have plants growing out of the tank that are sucking things up. So,
Real quick, I wanted to address this though, because I did test Brooklyn's water. She had a high TDS tank, and it was very high in potassium. That's not from the tap, from our tap water. That's from something it was either substrate or leaching of something.
yeah.
I still don't understand that water.
I mean, it's true, and maybe it matters, and maybe it doesn't. And just because you have something that seems to be high on a test doesn't mean your tank is going to explode in algae or your plants are going to all die.
Especially
Honestly,
potassium is one of the ones that you can overdose without too many issues.
yeah. And I'm really lazy about fertilizing. I only use all-in-ones. I have at times used dry fertilizers and I've dosed them separately and I've measured them out and I've made, stoichiometrically balanced solutions using calculators online. But now like they make Easy Green.
Yeah.
Easy Green, you can use the Nylock G Thrive. I've used that one. Fine. The thing is you're paying for water. So if you have a lot of tanks, you will save a lot of money if you learn to dose dry fertilizers. But I have 3 tanks.
Yeah.
And a bottle of Easy Green lasts me a really, really long time. And if you have 3 tanks that don't use CO2, it will last you even longer because tanks that don't have CO2, they don't need as much fertilizer because they're not growing as fast.
Right.
So,
So let's switch over to the overthinking, obsessive over fertilizer, because you've got the Easy Green, and so I've got. Let's start with plain old potassium sulfate.
That one here. Here we go. I have some of that too.
Yep. Because got to get that potassium, and not every tank needs all the nitrate. But I do have some that could use a boost every now and then, so I do have the potassium nitrate.
Let's see.
And it's another way to get potassium in with the
that one
nitrates.
Right here. Got one too. This potassium nitrate. Oh.
And then the Miller's Microplex for the micros.
So I have EDTA micro mix, which is chelated micro mix. I don't use these very much. So EDTA is a chelating agent. So this is a very common chemical used in the lab. What does it stand for? It's really long, so nobody ever says it. Ethylene diamine tetraacetate. Everyone just calls it EDTA. So chelate comes from the Greek word chelos, which means caged. So it's not pronounced chelate. That's incorrect. It's chelate. And what it means is it's a compound that will grab on to typically calcium and magnesium ions and it will sequester them so they can be used later. So it's a cage. So that's what that is. It'll also sequester iron and other things. So they're called chelating agents.
Yeah. And so you see a lot of thank you, Austin, for the $2 super chat.
Thank you, Austin.
Be fantastic, and hit the like button, Fish Fam. Indeed. Okay, so EDTA, so you said whatever that stood for. What does DTPA stand for?
That's another chelating agent. They're pH dependent. One of them is active at a lower pH and one of them is active at a higher pH. Can't remember which one's which. I think that EDTA is more
EDT
active at around 7-ish.
I
Judging.
feel like EDTA was like the lower pH one.
I can't remember.
Because whenever I was looking up, I was obsessing over like because I don't have any iron in my tap water either.
Right. See, I have a ton of iron in my tap water,
Mhm.
so I just don't care.
So we have the different chelations or whatever you want to
Mhm.
call them, and I, I was reading that like if you just want more readily absorbable iron in any pH, which because I have pHs all over the place,
Mm.
from the like not as heavily injected CO2 tanks to like the
Mhm.
full blast to no CO2. So
Yeah.
I started using this, which is supposedly like more readily absorbable at all pHs, is a ferrous gluconate.
Yeah. So, and I've heard that too. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is. A lot
Well,
of these things are harder to verify, in my opinion.
yeah,
Um,
it's not doing any harm. It's getting the iron in
Probably
there.
not.
So
Um, there's kind of a myth around iron. Your plants need some iron, but iron is not the key to red
nope.
plants. The key to red plants is healthy and adequate light and adequate CO2.
And in a lot of cases, some cases, starvation apparently.
You
Like
can starve them for nitrogen and they will turn, some of them will turn red.
the
However, you can
Ricalas
get
or
the
like that.
same effect by not starving them and just feeding your plants and giving them, keeping them really happy too.
Yeah.
So it's not a magic bullet. Yeah, so you can use different micros, ones that are EDTA, ones that are DPTA, or you can just use, you can be lazy and do what I do and just use Easy Green. Um,
Well,
with
it's
the caveat,
interesting.
I'm not trying to grow anything that hard.
Yeah.
I'm growing a bunch of crypts. I'm growing a bunch of Java fern. It's fine. I have a heavy fish load, so I have to feed fairly heavily, so there's
Right.
no waste.
And so you get lots of phosphates from feeding that krill flake, I assume, because I
Sure. Yeah.
and then you got phosphates in your tap. So see, whenever
Mhm.
I was going down this road of all of these individual salts, um, I was under this impression that phosphate is the enemy. Like OMG, if you've got more than if you have more phosphates, like a ratio of whatever the nitrate, potassium, and the phosphate is generally like at the 1 ppm
Yeah, and
range.
I've heard that for years too. So you want ideally zero point 0.1 ppm phosphate, and you want
Yeah.
ideally 10 ppm or 20 or 30 ppm nitrate. But
But then like too little phosphate, you get some whatever algae. Too much, you
right.
get that. So I like my tactic has always been limit phosphate, and it hasn't done me wrong. And so I haven't really changed tactics ever since switching to the dry ferts. I mean, for one
Right.
thing, it's dirt cheap to do it that way.
Yeah.
Um, because I do have 16 tanks now. I
Yeah,
don't even
and that
yeah.
adds up because Easy Green is expensive, and so is Nylec G Thrive. And I've done dry fruits in the past, so you can use their online calculators available. There's a couple different strategies you can use for fertilizing with dry fruits. You can use estimative index. So that's kind of a
Well,
heavy dosing regime.
it's
It's
very heavy dosing.
popularized by Tom Barr. He's been talking about it since I don't know, at least 2005. So a long time. Um, there's something
Does
called
Tom Barr use RO water?
I don't know. I would assume so. The things he grows, he probably does.
Right.
I know he's done tanks. Maybe not for every tank, but I know he does tanks that are 0 kh. And I don't think he has that out of the tap. But I've read
Okay.
a lot of discussions from him where he grows things in 0 kh.
Because I mean, you can
So
fertilize as much as you want as long as you are committed to that huge ass water change at the end of the week.
sure. Yes, and that's the caveat of it. If you
Mhm.
fertilize estimative index, it is a heavy fertilization regime, but it's predicated on the fact that you have to do 50% water changes every week, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty good about. I do water change pretty regularly and high amounts. I usually do even 75%, but I have high fish loads and rainbows like it.
Yeah, of course.
And also, I live in a place where it rains a lot. If you don't, I get that.
Yeah, no shortage of
Um,
water. So
so there's also an EI light dosing scheme. Like if you have a heavier fish load, there's calculators for that. And there's one really, really old school that never really caught on much, but it had its adopters called PPS Pro.
is that the poor person's or perpetual preservation or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I think it's perpetual preservation. It's supposed to give you slower growth. It's kind of a leaner dosing regime, so you could try that, especially if you had a heavier fish load. That's fine too. You still need to do water changes. Well, you need to do water changes for lots of reasons. I mean, water changes are good for lots of things.
Yeah. I mean, as long, of course, it's assuming that your water is good and it doesn't
Yes,
harm.
if you have crappy well water,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you shouldn't drink that.
Yeah, I mean, they say like over a certain TDS, like
If
it's
you have a
not
certain
good.
nitrate level, maybe you shouldn't put that in your body. I mean, we can handle some nitrates, but it's not good for
Yeah.
you either. So I will leave that between you and your doctor, though.
Yep.
But yeah. So those are things that I've tried in the past, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Every tank is different. Everybody's water is different. Everyone's livestock is different.
Right.
Substrates are different. Other things I use to fertilize, I use root tabs when I remember to put them in. I like the C-Chem ones because they don't float up.
Yes, I like that
Yes.
they're like just a compact little tablet and they sink right at the bottom. You shove them in the
Mhm.
substrate, you never have to worry about them again.
Yeah, and they're similar cost. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not relying on them because I have other ways to fertilize. I just, if it's a new tank and
You
I'm
have
putting
stratum
in
in
like
both of those
crypts.
tanks, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if it's a new tank, and I do grow a lot of crypts, it's good to put some in. And if I remember, I put some more in, but it's not my
Mm.
number one way of doing it. But I do prefer the C-Chem ones.
Zinter, you got to get your shit together.
Lights nearly all day. Zenny, get yourself a timer.
Yeah, for real.
Those Casa timers are cheap and easy to use, and there's an app you control them with an app on your phone, and like I can even do it. So it's really self-explanatory. And one timer, I think they have ones that'll control up to 4 tanks. I think the co-op has ones that'll do 2 tanks. They're so worth it. They're so easy to use.
Hell, in my fish room, I just have like a power strip coming off of one of those timers, and I think because
Yeah.
like I just have them all come on at the same time, so I got like
Oh,
4 of
there
them
you
plugged
go.
into that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I really like those Casa timers. They're
yeah,
so much better than the old school dial timers that I had to use when I first started back when dinosaurs roamed the earth and there were no phones or apps. So, yeah. But what else do I want to say about fertilization? I think if you're intimidated by fertilizing and you're new to it, I would get yourself an all-in-one and I would follow the package directions. So Easy Green is a good one. Nylac G Thrive, get on Amazon.
yeah.
It's also a good one. I don't see a significant difference between the two of them. They're comparable in cost. I probably will go back to always getting Easy Green because I like the co-op. I like to support them.
Now you don't have this issue because you inject CO2 in all your tanks and you change your water.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've got a fairly decently heavily stocked tanks in my kids' rooms.
Mm,
And I don't always do water changes. And I grow really simple plants, but it's a lot of fast
yeah,
growing plants that absorb nitrates. But I
yeah,
feel like the all-in-ones have a little bit too much nitrogen in them for the way I
yeah.
maintain those tanks. So I like that Nylock G has a low tech version that
Yeah.
has like hardly any nitrates in it.
And I've never tried that, so I can't say, but that's definitely something you could try. Um,
That's what I use in both of their tanks, and I mean, because I just
yeah.
buy one bottle and it lasts forever.
I don't really worry about nitrates in my tanks. I mean, plants are growing very fast. Also, I have
Right.
plants growing out of the tops of all of my tanks, and there's just a lot of plant growing
Mhm.
going on, so I don't worry
Yeah.
about it. And I
And
do
like the
go,
live bearer mosh pit, I would not put extra nitrates in there either.
yeah, I could see that. And also, isn't that a low tech tank?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you could try that. But if you don't know where to start and you have kind of an average tank, no CO2, this easy green is easy. I mean, it's in the name. So,
I'd be curious what your phosphate level is like midweek. Because if it's
I
like if you
could,
got 5 out of the tap and then you're dosing
yeah,
once a week or something, and you could
I
and
try
you're
to do
feeding
twice.
and
I try to do twice a week.
twice a week.
I don't know. I could drag out the test kit and test it, but I just
Yeah, I'm just curious because
yeah.
because I've always been obsessive about the phosphates because everything I read was just like too much and it's this algae, too little is
I
this
mean,
algae.
especially in this
Like,
tank, I really don't care because this tank has
hmm
very little algae. It's all manageable by algae eaters.
yeah.
This tank does have some hair algae in it,
And your
which
lights are way down in that one too, right? You have it like down to 25 or
yeah, but there's two of them on there, and they're
hmm
on a long time. There's probably other ways I control it, but I'm just not in the headspace to deal with it right now. I'm too I'm too busy. So,
hmm
but I mean, if you're having issues with your tank, with plant growth, with algae, try other things first. As long as you're doing some fertilization, like package
yeah.
directions fertilization, let's put it that way.
Yeah, Crypt
So,
Keeper said, yeah, there is 2 Hour Aquarius has one too. Man, the way they advertise and market their fertilizer just
mm,
irks the
you
hell out of
know,
me.
I've never tried
Too much
theirs.
branding.
I will say that Mr. 2 Hour Aquarist, like, those are his tanks.
Oh, he
He
knows his
knows
shit
what
for
he's doing.
sure. I'm
He knows
just
what he's doing, but there's no magic elixir in that bottle.
no. It's the
So,
same thing. It's
yeah.
just and that's yeah. But they have different levels of fertilization. Even Seachem makes what is it, advanced Seachem Advanced, and I think all it has is maybe like potassium and something else. I forgot what it is, but it's
Yeah, the thing about Seachem fertilizers, and Bentley has a video on this, and I do agree with him. You are
yes.
paying for water. They're very dilute. You have to buy multiple bottles because have to get Seachem, nitrogen, phosphate, potassium, and Flourish. I've used Flourish before, which is just their trace. I have used
Mhm.
it. It works fine. That one is not so bad. Back when I used to dose dry fertilizers, sometimes I would just add regular Flourish, but then add powdered NPKs. But the other Flourish line, it's really complicated, and you're paying for water, a lot of water. I mean, you're paying for some water with this, but it's a fairly good value. So I would not recommend theirs, but I would
Well,
recommend.
also with Seachem, it's like every freaking bottle has a different like a
Like
different
you'll be like,
dose.
yeah, you'll be dosing a quarter teaspoon of this one and a third
Yeah.
teaspoon of this one and a half teaspoon of this one, and it's so complicated. This one, you're just dosing pumps, which
Yep.
is really easy. The Nylac G, you're also dosing pumps. Tropica also has. They have like a high tech fertilizer and a low tech fertilizer. It's just dosed by pumps. Even though I've never used it, it's probably fine. I don't know where you buy Tropica fertilizer in the United States. I don't know if you can. I've never
Mm,
tried. I'm sure it's fine. And that 2 Hour Aquarius one, it's also probably fine. I will
yeah.
say, if you want your tanks to look like his, though, I
RO.
mean, you got to do other stuff too. You got to have RO water. You got to have 0 KH. You got to have
Yeah.
the lights. You got to have the CO2 that you're pushing. You got to have his maintenance regime. I mean, he's doing 2 water changes a week on those tanks and keeping scrupulously clean tanks, low stocking. So, I mean, you got to do the other things too. It's not just magic in a
The low
bottle.
stocking. See, that's where I draw the line. Like, I, you know, people act like because you inject CO2 and you take care of your plants that you're not putting the fish first, which is like so ignorant
Yeah,
that like but if you are keeping an aquatic garden and you're so worried about bioload that all you have is like 20 rasboras or something in a 90
right.
gallon swimming around, like, yeah, that's putting the plants first and the fish are
Well,
just little
part
ornaments.
of that is also aesthetics too. I mean, with a lot of
Mhm.
those aquascapes and their nature style aquariums,
Yeah,
it's an aesthetic thing to have a lower bio load so you can get a sense of the whole like as a landscape. So they're like
exactly.
birds flying in the landscape. Whereas if you have like a whole bunch of big old rainbows, the rainbows are the center of attention, not your aquascape.
Exactly. And that right there is the difference between the plant keeper and the fish keeper.
It's
Like,
just a different aesthetic. And, I think I'm kind of a 50-50 focus on my plants and my fish.
in the same way that I am, whereas like I'm not going to get a fish that is not compatible with plants,
Exactly. I'm not
but
going to
I'm
keep a
not
bunch
going to
of
get
silver
plants that
dollars.
require me to alter the parameters to a point that the fish are being sacrificed in any way.
Right. I mean, life is about compromise. You
I
I
see,
can't
fat
keep
kitty.
every fish. Oh,
Is
here
that
he is. Oh, here he is. Oh, God.
okay? So we're getting a bunch of questions, and I've seen a few. I'm going to go back just slightly to the questions, and then if you've asked questions earlier, and please don't
Ask
be
him
upset
again.
that we didn't get to him because the banner says like, "Hey, we're not taking questions right now." So
Yeah,
don't.
ask him again.
So let's see. So I'll just go back. Let's just start where Oinky was asking. Does everybody have a favorite liquid fertilizer? Now that I'm getting a little bit better at this and doing research, API Leaf Zone doesn't have shit in it.
I've
It's
never
got
used that one.
water.
I don't know anything about it.
It's got lots of water in
I
it.
don't really hear people
It's not a
that's
popular
a
one.
popular one to use. I would say I like either Easy Green or Nylac G Thrive, I think are good.
Yep. I
Um,
have no preference over either of those.
yeah, I would say either the tropical ones are probably also fine. I've never
Mhm.
used them, but I think they're probably fine just from what I read about them. The 2 hour Aquarist one is probably also fine. But I'll probably just buy Easy Green because I like the go up.
Yeah. See, this is what pisses me off. What Crypt Keeper was saying. I really do wish that 2 hour Aquarius would at least give us percentage of each component.
Yeah,
It'd be
that's
helpful to
super
compare apples to
uncool.
apples. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so here on the Easy Green bottle, it says guaranteed analysis, water soluble nitrogen 2.66%. So it gives you everything. This is an NPK 2.66, 0.46, 9.21. So I will say that Nylock G has slightly more potassium, slightly more phosphate, or it has quite a bit more phosphate, and as this is a richer fertilizer, but is it that different? I don't know. The pumps may be different. They may dispense slightly different amounts, so I
yeah,
don't know. But yeah, there's guaranteed analysis, and you know what? Every single fertilizer, whether it's for your aquarium or for your tomato plants, needs to have that. In fact, it may be federal regulation for
yeah,
terrestrial plants because they all have that. Even if you buy like a topsoil that has fertilizer in it, it'll still have guaranteed analysis on it. So I don't know why they don't. That's uncool.
I mean, maybe you have to request it, but it's just that the way they sell them, they just have fancy names for them, and they kind of, I don't know. It reminds me of like buying an Apple product where it's not really
I
about what the
love
product.
Apple products
Well,
though.
if you don't care or if
He-
you don't operate technology and
yeah.
understand.
But the thing is like Apple products do something well, whereas a fertilizer is not going to
Yeah.
do anything appreciably different. These are still just salts in water.
I just had to make a dig at Apple products just in case Bex is still listening.
Oh, Bex, I tried to help you out, girl. So don't use Seek. So saying it's better to go dry ferts than sea chem. If those are your only two options, which it
Right.
was in 2005, yeah, it's better to go dry ferts because it'll cost you a fortune and drive you mad.
Yeah,
It,
I mean, it's still, I guess, if you're trying to be exact and follow the CChem instructions, it's probably easier to follow the dry ferts instructions where you're like, just buy that set of like the little tiny spoons, which I don't do, by the way. I am not that guy who has the 1/64th of a teaspoon
oh my
that I'm making sure that
God.
I add
I'm
to the
not
mix.
that person either. I don't have brain power. I don't have brain power to remember to fertilize half the time. So Crown Tail says, is that an indicator that you prefer Thrive over Easy Green since Easy Green is still in the package? Well, I gotta use this one up first. I mean,
Well, I'm in the same situation, and I do have Easy Green for some of my tanks, and I had Thrive first, and I'm almost out of the Thrive, and I've got some
yeah,
Easy Green that's brand new.
yeah. So I'll get to it, man. I'll get to it. Gotta use it up. There's no sense in wasting good ferts.
Let's see. You all would hate to see my FERT schedule and CO2 take. I'm using a set schedule between Thrive, Flourish, Iron, 2 hour APT free, and Flourish Trace.
You know
You
what?
know,
If it makes you happy, go for it.
I was just about to say that. I was like, if
Ah!
it makes you happy, do it. If your plants are if your plants are doing well, yeah, don't change
Yeah.
it unless it's costing you a fortune, which it seems like it would if you had as many CO2 injected tanks as I do.
Right. Well, and it looks like it might for you too. It's time for dry ferts time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will save you a lot of money. These are dirt cheap. Get yourself like some little containers that you can label to put them in because the bags they can make a mess. I will give you that advice.
yeah.
Oh, you did know. Fat
Did he knew
Kitty's
it?
he's right here. Let's see if you can look at him. There you go. He's watching you.
He's looking at a fish like he might actually reach for one.
He woke up. He was so tired. Fat Kitty.
He's getting ready for his next nap.
Well, he's very tired. We'll keep him in frame.
Let's see. Could the potassium M at 55 be causing the atrocious amount of PBA? I don't know if it's as simple as that. I think it's just there's probably some. I'm trying to think where it was. It's like on her spray bar and stuff, which I get BBA on my spray bar too because they get
Yeah.
dirty. They get really dirty and they're really close to the light. So it's just kind
If,
of the way it is.
if you have algae on a spray bar, I think you should just clean your spray bar.
Yeah, she had it other places too.
Yeah. I mean,
Eh,
sometimes I have seen certain hardscapes just attract certain algae. I don't know why that is. They just do. They like to adhere to that surface. And if it bothers you, you just have to clean it. There's really That's just that. I mean, you see those fancy aquascapers every like week. They take their glass lily pipes apart, which are their intake and outflows for their filters, and they soak them and they clean them with a little brush and they put them back and they look so nice. And
if I had
they
like
don't have
one or
many
two,
tanks.
yeah, I'm not that guy. I'd rather have multiple tanks than like just put all of my energy into meticulously maintaining one. But
Yeah.
yeah, if I did, that tank would look damn good.
I mean, I feel like if I'm gonna put that amount of energy into cleaning something, I should have a cleaner house. I should
Look,
prioritize.
Brooklyn's been here. She knows the state of the house and then the state of the tanks.
Yeah.
Like with some exceptions, the tanks are better maintained than the house.
Ugh. Doing the best you can right now, guys. It's tough.
Too busy making all that independent contractor money,
Oh God, I'm so busy right now.
tickling all the clients. So how much comes out of the Easy Green in one pump? I think it's a
I don't
milliliter,
know.
right? Maybe it could
Well,
be
they
two.
redid their pumps. If you're really fussy, you can measure it with like a volumetric like a pipette.
I
It
trust
used to be
whatever
1
it
mil came out.
says.
So this bottle, which is a new one, says 1 pump is 1 milliliter per 10 gallons.
Okay.
So it is 1 mil. So you can measure it with a pipette.
So
Like if
Ricky's saying his might be clogged or something because it's just a drop that comes out. And
Okay.
yeah, so the old Easy Green bottles, I've had a pump head just straight up stop working.
I have to.
They
Which
do
is
get
annoying.
they get kind of crusty on the inside. So sometimes just like you could soak it in vinegar or water, or
I would soak it in water. Yeah.
something like that. It'll dilute and dissolve as much, like good bit of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt. That's nice of you.
I haven't gotten down that far.
Oh.
I'm still scrolling through questions.
Oh, you're so good. It's just Matt gave us a super sticker.
Oh, thank you, Matt.
He gave you a super sticker.
Oh, your check's in the mail, Kelly.
Just
until it's worth my time to actually write that check and put it in an envelope.
Oh, God. I don't want to take away from your kids' college fund.
God help them if they're relying on my YouTube money for college.
I want the P children to be educated.
Yeah, they're going to be educated, and it ain't going to be from YouTube money. So Crypt Keeper said, I do like the way the 2-hour perform. Just percent analysis is what I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's great because, like, I love that site. I love everything about that site.
I do too. I do too. I mean, and that guy's the real deal.
Yep.
I mean, he can grow plants. Those are his tanks. They look amazing. He knows what he's doing. So, no. Crown Tail, don't send me dry fruits. I've got some right here. See, these bottles are full.
Joshua is 100% anti-Apple too. Yeah, Joshua's a cool guy.
I love Apple products, but I do use PCs for work. So, yep. But I don't want anything other than iPhones. I'm not learning another phone.
Yeah. Like knowing the capabilities of Final Cut just from talking with Bex about editing and stuff, like I definitely see the merits of having a MacBook Pro and for that. Like, but if I had not come from the gaming background, maybe I would have an Apple product. But like,
I used to have
a gamer, you know.
Yeah, I used to have an Apple laptop, and I did really like it. But a lot of companies they use PCs for everything, so I kind of have to. Basically, I don't use my laptop really for anything but work. So
let's see.
But I'm not learning a phone other than an iPhone. I just don't want to. You only have one CO2 tank, but you're going to put it on your 75. I love hearing that. That's awesome because you'll grow even more crypts. Your crypts will look awesome.
Yep. So speaking of crypts, I just ordered one, and now I forgot what it was. I was going to ask you if it was one that you were interested in me propagating for you, but like when you say rare crypts, I don't even know which ones are rare. Like only thing I know is like the ones that I had previously are not rare because they're Winty Eye and loose ends.
If they're Winty Eye, they're probably not rare.
Yeah. I got it from Boost Plant. I'm gonna check real quick because it was one that I hadn't had previously.
Matt asked, did I use my laptop for the video you have premiering in 27 minutes? You know what? If people make me videos, I'll post them. Somebody made me that video. Someone very talented.
That's going to be one hell of a premiere. Like, I'm looking forward to that 2-minute intro followed by the however long that video is going to be. Y'all just have to stick around and
because you were like telling me like until you post it till after the stream, and
I said post it before the stream to be on record, but it's all right.
I had a really hard day. I did a lot of it's the best I could do, people.
Yeah, I get that totally. It's one of those days.
I want to post it though.
Let's see. How do you recommend cleaning algae on the spray bar? The spray bar that I have, you just pop it off and you can go in the sink and just scrub the shit out of it, or
you could soak it in peroxide.
Yeah, and
then
also
scrub
just
it.
assembles into pieces. I have the crap, what is it called? It's not one that's sold by Fluval. It's like Flow Tamer
I
something.
can't, and I have an aftermarket one too, and I can't
Yeah,
remember the name
yeah.
of it.
It's
But it just
popping.
pops off. And I also I have a spray bar. This tank has an Oase filter, and it came with a spray bar. Not a great spray bar, but it came with one.
No.
Because they're assuming you're going to use lily pipes, which I do not. And yeah, you can just pop it off, soak it in something.
Now I have so anyone here try the full spectrum light from Higer? Now I don't know if that's different from what I have. I have the very basic. I mean, they call it a planted light. I have basic Higer lights, like the cheapest ones that they sell, and they're on this plant farm. And yeah, maybe the fish don't look as great as they could possibly look, but the plants are doing really, really well. Like, it doesn't take fancy lights. This is probably, I don't know, $120 worth of lighting on a high tech tank, and
That's a good deal.
it's getting the job done.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
Versus 400 something if I put two Fluval 3.0s on there.
Yeah, which you would want to because of the spread. I mean, you can use just one Fluval on a 40 breeder.
For this, though, I have two lights on this because
this spread isn't good enough because they're so narrow, and a 40 breeder is what, 18 inches front to back?
Yeah, and I would say the same thing applies to the Higers. You can't get away with just one if you're doing what I'm doing. Yeah. So I have one in the back because the stem plants. There's a dense bunch of stem plants back there.
Right.
And even the front, I'm starting to like pop random stem plants in there just to see what they'll do. Because like this tank is my best growing tank right now.
That's awesome.
And I think it's attributed to the substrate because I don't use a lot of active substrate, but I'm changing that this Saturday.
Yeah, I love active substrates. I think they're worth the money.
Does that UNS contra soil lower your KH?
Sure does. Yep.
Good.
Yep, it lowers your KH. It's great stuff. I love it.
Looking forward to that. So yeah, I like Higer products. They keep emailing me to be a sponsor, and I replied this time. I'm like, you know what? I actually like Higer. I have a blanket no sponsor policy, but as long as y'all continue not sucking, I will continue to sing the praises of Higer for budget.
Yeah, equipment. And I've never used Higer, so I can't say. But I will say, even though I don't have a channel, like I can be bought. But
of course,
I got a price. I don't know if Higer can afford it, but I've got a price.
Yep.
I'll say whatever you want.
High class hooking.
That's right.
Okay,
so a question up there from Crown Tail. Did you see that? Was there anything before that?
I think I'm really far behind now. Like
you're so diligent.
I'm about a Rico behind.
Oh man.
So because the next one I see is from Gray. Anyone try EI method? And yes, I have, and
yes, I have too.
It's fine. It takes it's a lot of.
I think it's a little heavy, in my opinion. Yeah. Now there's EI Light, I think it's called, or maybe, yeah, I have, because I started doing this back in 2007, and EI was all the rage then. So yes, I have done it. I just think it's a little heavy. I prefer a lighter dosing regime.
So the crypt I ordered was Crypt Axle Rod Eye.
Oh yeah, I have that one.
Okay.
Thank you, though. It's a nice crypt.
I don't have to share then.
You keep it all to yourself. It's a nice crypt.
Let's see. Did we all hit the like? I don't know. Did we?
I haven't.
Hit one of them. Hit one of those thumbs.
I'm not logged into YouTube, so I have
not. Let's see. So Berkeley said, I removed all hardscape now. The BBA is growing everywhere, all over the glass. Substrate, plants, equipment. Can lava rock cause high potassium? So that's
I mean, you would think it would not be terribly soluble in water, lava rock, but I can't say that for certain. Maybe it is.
Not in our water for sure. And because non-CO2, or it's like we have like a pH of like 8 at least out of the tap. So
I don't think it's a terribly soluble rock. So I don't think it dissolves in water very readily. I don't think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a mystery because I mean it's not much different from her other tanks. I mean things are growing okay, but also there's a
Yeah.
little bit of algae. You know, it could be that canister filter itself too. Just the
Yeah.
thought, like just
It could
general
be. It
excess
could be.
nutrients and like just it
Yeah.
blowing shit
I mean,
around. It's what
it
they
could
do.
be. It could. Yeah. It's so hard to say why certain algae are caused. I'm sorry. That's not a very,
I know.
and sometimes algae just decide to disappear.
Well, that's nice of them.
They do. I mean, just something in your tank has changed. So your substrate is more matured. Your bacterial complement is different.
Yeah.
That's not very satisfying of an answer.
Nah, but I mean, things that help are lowering the light, doing more water changes, and
Yeah.
cleaning, just like cleaning debris diligently.
Mhm.
That helps a good bit. Here we got. So I'm down to where Crown Tail says he's gonna send, or he or she's gonna send you dry ferts.
I've got a bunch of them. I've got full containers. So, but thank you. I mean, I'm not against them. I am just a little bit lazy, and I don't have that many tanks. So, I would like to put an auto dosing pump on my aquariums,
Hmm.
and maybe I will do that. But I would have to make Jake set it up, which he would do for me. But I haven't done it yet. So I saw a simple question there for me to answer. So, at what concentration of calcium would the KH be raised by 1 degree? It's like 17 ppm, I think is the conversion, is 1 degree KH.
Well,
17 -ish.
calcium would
Calcium is
not
not
raise
KH.
pH. Yeah,
Sorry, that's GH. That's
yeah.
GH. So, that for carbonate, it's also 17 ppm, but it's carbonate. It's not
Hmm.
calcium.
16.9 ppm to be
Oh
exact.
my god. Is it 17-ish, maybe? I don't know. It's about 17.
Yeah.
So whenever I get the number in ppm off a test kit, I just divide it by 17. And that usually works good. Did you guys hear Fat Kitty go into a sneezing fit a minute
Uh-uh.
ago? He was like, achoo, 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 achoo.
Oh, too much noise cancellation on your mic then.
Oh, yeah, this is a good microphone. It's the one that comes with the webcam.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's more hype on dosing ferts than actually fertilizing based on plants requirement, etc.? Any thoughts? See, I don't even like give much thought to the individual plant's requirements. I know that like
Sure.
people say that such and such likes potassium and this likes
Maybe
calcium.
it
I
does.
just I put I make sure there's the presence of all those things, and then I change the water, and then
Right.
I repeat.
And sometimes I forget.
Yeah,
I have not
I
fertilized
forget a
this
lot.
week. I've not fertilized this week in this tank. And it doesn't matter. There's no algae and the plants are clearly out of control. That's
Hmm.
that tank. I mean, I do feed the fish, I change the water, I clean the filter. It's getting what it needs somehow.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll
well,
do a little better if I remembered to fertilize it.
you're doing like I do, fertilizing plants with fish poo.
There's a song about that.
Could
Did you
be.
know that? I think Rico advocated taking a dump in your tanks. So you could try that too.
I mean, that's very highly concentrated fertilizer, but yeah, I cannot guarantee the chemistry of that dump. So,
Also, it might lead to divorce.
well, it
I
depends
mean,
on
Jenna's
who's
not going to
into.
put up with that. She's got limits.
Yeah, I think she would notice a big old dump in any of the tanks.
Don't do that.
Not gonna do it.
Would Fat Kitty leave me? I don't know. He might. Might.
Okay, let's see. So, did you answer this one? Do you recommend alternate liquid ferts like you're doing, Nylock G, then Easy, then
I
Nylock?
don't alternate them. I just bought a bottle of this and I'm using it up. And then I'm going to use this one up. And then I'll probably buy more Easy Green. I think I bought the Nylock G because I didn't have anything else I needed to order from the co-op, and they have that minimum order. But now
See,
I'm just going to plan better and
yeah,
order
I
more
I
from the
usually
co-op.
just force myself to have a minimum order when I order from the co-op. Just like I'll use it all
I
eventually. I mean,
know. I mean, I'm just going to plan better because I always have to buy my fish food, and I do like buying things from the co-op. I think the co-ops is good people. I think they support the fish fam. I think they do a good job educating people.
yeah.
I like my free sticker. So,
So, Fish Fam Link, I will not allow you to sponsor my channel, but guess what? I will promote the shit out of your site for free. How's that for a deal?
yeah. And hey, did you guys know that fishfam.link is provided to us for free? And it's a lot of work to do that. Do I know how to make a website? No, I don't know how to make a website. I can't do anything. I can barely remember to comb my hair, people. But you can sponsor fishfam.link on Patreon.
You sure can.
So maybe $5 a month. Get one less coffee.
That's not even. I don't even know of a streaming service that costs less than $5 a month.
That's
Like
right.
that's
Netflix is now a lot of money per
if you
month.
canceled
And it's kind of
Netflix
worth
and
it.
got the Patreon, you would still be ahead.
You would get a better quality product that you can
Hmm.
use every day to tell you when all the streams are. So
Well,
there
there
you
you go.
go.
And guess what? That costs nothing. We were not paid for that endorsement, but since we love the site,
But if Matt wants to pay me, I can be bought, people.
yeah,
I'm telling you right now, I
you can
can.
work that out separately with him, and then you can still use this channel to promote him, depending
That's
on what
right.
the requirements are.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I know her price. Y'all have negotiated before.
Do you, Matt? Do you? Because I don't think you
Oh,
do.
I buy Kelly with fat kitty food and tummy rubs.
Oh, fat kitty. He does cost me a lot of God, those pets cost me a damn fortune. I spend so much money on cat food. Oh, fat kitty loves having his belly rubbed, though. He loves it. Annette, he would love you to rub his belly. He's so squishy. I have a channel. I have almost two videos on there. That's right.
You
Almost
put a
two.
lot of work into making those too, didn't you?
I had to upload them. It was hard times for me.
Yeah. BBA is an easy carpet plant. You know
You
what?
know what?
It's a good what do you call it? Accent for hardscape too.
You know what though? If you want to grow BBA, you probably can't do it. That's the way that goes. I mean,
Yeah. So what would you grow if you just like put fish food, let it sit on the substrate, never did any gravel back? Like that seems
I
like
bet
the
you.
recipe for BBA.
I think it sounds like a recipe for cyanobacteria.
That too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yuck! And nobody wants that because that
Mhm.
stinks. It's
Yep. It's
stinky.
gross.
It's
And yeah.
gross. Yeah.
Let's see. Metalheads came in.
Hi, metalheads. Hi, Jess and Josh.
Crown Tail with the questions today.
So excited.
Have you ever tried to grow immersed plants from fully submerged and even use immersed grown to fully submerged to propagate them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes if they're fully grow immersed from fully submerged. So sometimes there's like a little period where the leaves get crinkly and crunchy and dry up,
Hmm.
but then new ones will sprout from the stem. They have to convert. They need a moment. It works. Don't put them in really harsh, hot outdoor light conditions right away. Keep them a little shaded first until they convert. But even then, they might still work fine because I've taken Bacopa from my tank and put it outside growing immersed out of my pond,
Yep.
and it gets there.
I had to do that last year for Alex's aquascaping contest for immersed, and
Mhm.
I already had Rotala, and I was going to do a Southeast Asia biotope, so I grabbed
Mm,
some already submersed Rotala and just stuck it up there, and
mhm.
it takes a little while because Rotala doesn't like instinctively want to go up; it wants to like go across the water, so
Yeah.
you have to train it, like wrapping it around the wood and stuff like that.
Or yeah, like I was you could stake it.
Right. Some kind of
Or like,
scaffolding.
yeah, I mean, I grow things out of the filter box of my pond, so they don't really even have any submerged part. They're just in, a bog.
Ooh, I like this question.
You go for it. You love water chemistry.
All right. So calcium versus calcium carbonate is confusing me a bit. Calcium itself is basic, so it'll raise pH, right? No, it doesn't. Maybe it does, but not very much. Like because the amount of calcium you're going to put into your water would not. How does carbonic acid bring pH up? It lowers pH
The
because it's
only thing that
acid.
can raise pH is
Because
increasing the concentration of hydroxyl ions in solution.
there you go.
Period. End of story.
Right. And carbonic acid is not carbonate. Carbonic acid is the dissolved CO2. Is that correct? Like in CO2 dissolving
Correct.
in your water converts
Correct.
carbonic acid. Carbonic
Mhm.
acid converts carbonate to CO2. Yep.
Mhm. Yep.
So, yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, calcium is
So
calcium.
acids don't bring pH up. Acids
No.
bring pH
Right.
down because
Um,
they're increasing the concentration of hydronium ions, which are H pluses in your water. pH has nothing to do with carbonate. I mean, that's
well,
buffering.
it's
It's
buffering. So,
buffering. It does affect it, but pH means the negative log of the concentration of hydronium ions, which are H pluses in a solution, which is usually water. You get a pH of orange juice, aquarium water, stomach acid. There's fat kitty. You can have pH of fat kitty. So that's what that
Fat
means.
Kitty seems very basic.
Oh, he's a basic bitch. Okay. Let's pick him up.
So yeah, and then also your water can have carbonate without calcium. Like you cannot like just because you've got KH, you got carbonate does not mean you have minerals whatsoever in your water.
Right.
Such as my water. It's got
Ah,
nothing, no magnesium, no calcium, no
right.
iron.
If you live in the Midwest, you probably, if you have hard water, I mean, it probably has a lot of GH and it
Right.
probably has a lot of calcium and magnesium. Most places I've lived, well, which are pretty much all the Midwest, the KH and GH are about equal
That's probably
because
very common. Like I think I probably
very
have
common.
uncommon water.
Yeah.
And they like if they wouldn't add the soda ash to it, it would probably
Mhm.
be
And
pretty
mine,
damn good plant water.
yeah, yeah. So you have to add a little GH boost your water, but I don't because I have
I have to add a good bit. I mean, because I got zero, and so if I want to keep
right. And you have all those live
guppies,
bears
holy crap!
too. Yeah. But I don't. I mean, because my water out of the tap is GH6. So it's,
Mhm.
but I also don't keep live bears. I don't know. Would I have to add any for that or is that fine?
Yeah, GH6.
Yeah.
You could probably get away, especially. I mean, because for one thing, you buy guppies, they're gonna give birth and die. The ones you get, it's just
God,
how
guppies suck.
freaking guppy they suck. They really do.
Suck.
Fucking guppies, man. Um, but yeah, and then the ones born in your water, they'll be fine. GH6, like
Yeah.
I mean, and that's I keep my rainbows at GH6 too.
Rainbows, yeah. You can keep them as low as GH4. I know people who do that. KH0. You can keep rainbows in KH0 and they look great. They're fine. They look
Right,
great.
because it's not like when rainbows
Yeah.
like hard water, it means it's or when you're talking about any fish that likes hard water, it's
Mhm.
about the GH, it's about the mineral content. It
Right.
just so happens that in the wild, when there's high mineral content, there's often a high pH and a high carbonate content just because the nature of
because of
the
limestone.
source.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because of limestone, which is why the Midwest has such hard water. It's from limestone aquifers.
Rico's shitty skate video coming soon to a YouTube channel near you.
What was that?
What's he scaping? Oh, see, I'm like a Rico behind in chat. So.
Oh my God, Eric Wyrock, thank you. Just putting Stephen's kids through college. Look at you.
Oh,
and you got a new member. Welcome, Brennan. You look great in green.
That's a re-up, but welcome back, Brennan.
You look good in green. I'm so behind in chat. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at streaming. It's not a skill I have.
Hey. Rico is very good at streaming, and he is
good at
way behind in chat.
Always behind.
And that's how we like it.
No,
we like to drop our hello and then go have a cup of coffee and come back.
I'm really good at showing you all Fat Kitty. Here he is.
Man, he is really participating today. I
like really likes to be next to me. Welcome, fantastic freaks. You look great in green.
Hey, Austin, thanks. So he's going at 15 after. So at the beginning of the stream, he let us know we could go over a little bit. So that's why I've been leisurely scrolling and checking.
I have a premiere at 6:05.
Oh man, that's what we need to do. We need to just we all need to have a premiere watch party. Y'all won't be disappointed.
I don't know.
Okay, so maybe I should scroll a little bit faster because we cannot miss that premiere. That is the event of the week.
Oh my God, it's a good video. I didn't make it. It's a good video.
Let's see. Crypt Keeper said, I thought calcium carbonate was CaCO3, calcium carbonate, CO3 negative ion.
Calcium carbonate.
It's carbonic acid, CO3.
That's calcium carbonate. Carbonic acid is H2 or H.
Because it's liquid, right?
Well, it's dissolved in liquid, but it's HCO3.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Carbonic acid formula.
Yeah.
I have like that equilibria formula that you've sent me.
I know.
H2CO3. Yeah.
H2CO3.
So there's the difference.
Bicarbonate would be H3CO3. Oh, yeah. Look at all these cats. Oh my God, cats.
Do they get along?
No. We could see a cat battle happen.
Oh, he's staring her down like, how dare you interfere with my stream time? You had your moment.
Cat battle.
I came all the way down the stairs.
I woke up.
Uh-huh.
No, Tiny Kitty and Fat Kitty fight all the time.
Wait, who wins? I mean, I feel like Fat Kitty has the power, but does he have the will?
Nobody wins.
The warrior.
Nobody wins in this war. Nobody wins in this war. Crypt Keeper, we did a stream on water chemistry. I think the first
it was our debut
episode of Wet Your Plants. Maybe that would help you. But maybe we'll revisit it more later. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If you are making a solution of your dry ferts, I think I would recommend using either RO or distilled water, simply because, and I know this is hard to believe, but if these solutions will grow mold, if they're not sterile, like if I were in a lab, I would autoclave everything to make it sterile.
I completely stopped doing that, making the solutions. I just spoon the salts in there. The fish, they go after them, but it doesn't hurt them, so that's fine.
It's shocking what will grow mold. I have seen bottles of deionized water that, I've opened them up and maybe dipped a pipette tip in them once, and 6 months later you'll see a fuzzy ball growing in them. I'm like, what are they growing? I mean, what are they eating? But yeah, it's shocking. So I would use RO water just for that. You can just buy RO water, for making a little solution.
Right.
It's time, fuckers, Matt.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, let's go. I gotta go to my own.
All right,
All
y'all.
right.
We're gonna go and take a
All
look.
right.
Take a look. All
Bye.
right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.